as soon as you start describing the features of whole life insurance, everybody says that sounds pretty great. But as soon as you mention life insurance, right, they go, oh man, this is terrible, right? Because my dad told me so, or so and so. The second reason that people usually have a lack of education is going to come from bad policy design. For better or worse, in our industry, we have the control over the policy design. So the advisor can direct where premiums go, whether it's going to go to the PUAs, which create cash, or it goes to the base premium, which kind of supports the death benefit. And again, you're going to find bad apples in every industry that's out there. And it's and life insurance industry is no different, right? There's individuals out there that, intentionally create bad policies or unintentionally create bad policies. Again, I had a gentleman that I'm speaking to. He reached out to us last week, and he sent me over his policy that he had. I looked at it for 2 seconds, and I knew that it was not an IBC policy because he had zeros in the cash value column for the first 3 years. And his story was he'd heard about infinite banking and just went to his financial advisor and told him what he wanted. And he said he knew the guy didn't know anything about infinite banking, but he gave him a policy, right? So you had one guy asking for something, the other guy giving it to him, and neither of them know what they're doing. So that's one of the reasons that we end up in that place. The other reason that scams are IBC is labeled as scam is because people often compare infinite banking to high risk, high reward investments. And that could not be further from the truth, right? If you guys have been listening to us for a while, you know that we are not positioning infinite banking as an alternative to an investment. Infinite banking is a cash management system where we can put our money in between deals and or as we're saving up for deals, right? So we say this all the time. Infinite banking is not the end all be all. We are not trying to create millions of dollars of cash value. We are trying to get money into a policy and strategically leverage against it to buy investments and opportunities that create cash flow.
Well said, Cameron. And when you had talked about, shared that story, that triggered a story. I remember I met with a friend of mine from high school. We had reconnected, and he wanted to get into real estate and lending. And we started talking about we got to put our money somewhere. And then back then, this was early on where we would kind of hide that we're talking about whole life. To be honest, now we're just more blunt about it. But I'm like, what do you want your money to do? I'm like, you want it to be liquid. You want it to grow tax-free. You want it to be penalty-free. I mean, all these things he wanted his money to do is exactly what could be accomplished in a properly structured whole life policy. But as soon as I told him it was whole life, I saw like his whole demeanor changed.
Yeah.
And he's like, my father-in-law sold life insurance. He was always trying to get it to me. He goes, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And, back then we would do the old saying, well, what's your favorite candy bar? And Cameron, what is your favorite candy bar?
Snickers.
Snickers. If I put a Snickers bar inside a wrapper of a Butterfinger, are you still going to enjoy the Snicker the same way?
Yeah, of course.
The only thing different is the wrapper or the label. And so what we encourage people to do is and we're at fault as well. We weren't big fans of whole life until we became educated. So I would encourage you to be educated. You want to see the entire episode? Click here. If you want to learn how investors use infinite banking to increase their returns and lower their taxes, click here. If you want to see if infinite banking is for you and you have some questions, hop on a discovery call with us and one of our coaches. The link for that will be in the description.